the junior warden, and I really like wearing my cassock.
Why would that be?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm a librarian at the public library here too.
And
This is great because we keep getting trickles in, so,
Leah?
yeah. And you didn't miss anything.
I know.
I'm Leah. I'm Leah, well.
Yeah, that's it.
And are you gonna tell us anything else about you, Leah?
I live in Lombard, and so from time to time, I'd like to worship here.
Yep.
Someone behind you.
I know, Dawn.
Yeah, I'm Dawn Polanski. I live in Itasca and I've been
Very
coming
big.
here for, I think since about July, when I started coming.
Right.
And
I'm Helen, I'm my 6th week here. I live in Brooklyn.
Keeping track, I love that.
Or makes me feel to say. It's here a while.
You've been here a long time.
Been here forever.
Well, it'll feel like a long time.
I've already worked with one name.
yeah,
Still probably
and
better than me.
Suzanne just walked in. We've
all my
just
kids
been
are
introducing
stuff that
ourselves.
That's the only one I really care about.
That's right.
Around my village.
So we were all talking and didn't hear that this is Suzanne. And this is George Smith, and he's in charge, and now that the service is finally over, we can start.
Oh, my goodness. Finally over.
Oh, what a concept.
All right, so trying to share my screen, and sometimes it doesn't cooperate completely, so I'm gonna try again.
We're gonna have a recap of that.
We can do whatever you'd like. It sometimes is a little, I don't know why it won't share my screen.
The morning of technical difficulties.
It just seems to be that way.
You probably want to share you're sharing the you need to share the display, not the source.
Let me just see if I can share some other things here. I've seen this happen where like sometimes it takes a minute. Here, I'm just gonna.
You want this?
Yeah. If it doesn't show, we'll talk it through. We got plan B. There we go. Just needed a little.
Encourage touch.
A little gentle touch. Which is not my strong suit.
Oh, I was seeing that. I'm sorry. I thought you guys weren't seeing that.
Yeah, no, no surprise. All right. Okay.
To get it going,
Here we go. All right. So I have 2 PowerPoints, and the first one is kind of the Diocese of Chicago overview. So let's kind of go through that. And I think like last week, what I really liked was that there were lots of questions. And so I don't have any particular thing to accomplish other than what we talk, and I want to know what you're interested in. So first of all, there we go. There's the Episcopal Diocese of Chicago. And this is an overview. So this word diocese is tricky, and it is a Catholic and also applies to the Anglicans. So a diocese is a region. It's a geographic region of churches, right? And typically dioceses do not overlap, right? So in Illinois, we have 2 dioceses. We have Northern Illinois, and which we call the Diocese of Chicago, and then the Diocese of Southern Illinois. That's like Springfield and that area. In Wisconsin, they used to have 3, and now there's just 1. They merged them all together. Yeah. Good luck with that. But it makes sense because they just don't have the resources to have 3 different dioceses and all that infrastructure. Anyway, let's just So who we are, a community of faith in Northern Illinois. And I don't know, the name Chicago, Diocese of Chicago has pros and cons, right? Because it is Chicago is kind of the hub, or Chicagoland, but we have people in Galena and Peoria and Rockford and all over. And sometimes, for some people, the Chicago feels a little overwhelming, like selfish, like they get neglected, which is probably true.
Has there ever been any discussion to change it to Northern Illinois?
There was a discussion to change it to, well, it was the Diocese of Illinois originally, and they changed it to the Diocese of Chicago when they created the two. So.
And wasn't Peoria a diocese at one time? I thought that we had a cathedral when I was growing up in Peoria.
Yeah.
St. Paul.
In St. Paul.
Yeah.
There was a third diocese up until 15 years ago, the Diocese of Quincy.
But was
Yeah.
the cathedral Peoria? Because
It may have been,
called
I
it,
think
yeah.
so, the Diocese of Quincy included Peoria. So, all right, so we're a community, I like the word community, faith. So here's our identity. We are a Diocese Episcopal Church, part of the worldwide Anglican Communion, which we talked about last week, the Episcopal Church and the Anglican Communion throughout the world. So we're part of that. So in the Diocese of Chicago, we have 114 congregations across 22 counties. And our mission is to be Christ-centered, inclusive, and sustained by prayer and committed to service. Like a pretty good mission to me. And there we've got the two, that's the Episcopal shield, the bottom right there, and then the symbol for the Anglican Communion up there. So a little bit of a legacy of our faith. We were established as the Diocese of Illinois in 1835. And then this is getting to Joy's question. Then as the church grew, or there were more churches, then there was this Diocese of Chicago in 1877. And we've had this urban ministry and social gospel history. They were you've heard of the social gospel movement back 100 years ago, and we were engaging in, outreach related to poverty and labor issues. And the legacy of that, we have a number of, there are organizations in Chicago that have now no or a little bit of Episcopal connection to them, places like Youth Guidance, which is big organization, and that started as an Episcopal charity. Revive, which is doing the Christmas baskets, used to be called Cathedral Shelter, but all of these started, decades ago in this kind of social gospel movement. Commitment to justice, I think that's a hallmark of Episcopalians, and I think we've even moved more into that, continuing to advocate now for those who are being mistreated, we believe, in our region. The mean and cruel policies that are being carried out by our government, we stand against that, and with common sense, but also kind of fierce of optimism. We were early in supporting the civil rights movement, LGBTQ plus inclusion within the wider church. These are kind of hallmarks, I think, of our diocese. Now, not every single congregation is on board with all those things. We're not monolithic, but kind of as a whole, those are themes. Questions? Yeah, Joyce.
I have a comment.
Comments, okay.
Growing up as a Baptist, kind of fundamentalist evangelical Baptist, I heard the term social gospel, and the way it was always presented to me was that these are people who like to hang around and drink martinis and join country clubs.
True. Because that you can have both. Joy.
But it didn't have to do with like outreach to the poor.
Oh,
that was not part of what I heard when I heard about the social gospel.
So also, as growing up, as you could say, fundamentalist evangelical Baptist, when I heard social gospel, it's more like, oh, those people who don't actually know the Bible.
Mhm.
Yeah, like it was none of it was, it was never those people don't actually believe anything, they're just trying to look good doing certain things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What a nice Christian spirit.
Isn't that good?
Like, so the people who started places like Bishop Anderson House, certainly belong to country clubs and drink martinis. You know, I'm sure that some of them did that, but they also were very committed to other things too. So I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not.
Yeah, I always was told that progressive Christians, really like being on drugs.
Well, you're younger.
Which one?
Generation.
There was a lot of smoking and drinking.
I was like, that doesn't sound accurate, but okay.
So I think the social gospel, just a quick, I mean, that's really the commitment to the poor and to the needs of suffering people. So,
I love hearing that because it's not how I pictured it.
yeah.
It's the first time in my life that I've heard that term in a positive way.
Mhm, right,
Really?
yeah,
Okay, well, thank you for,
yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh,
that's,
uh-huh.
Well, now you can spread the good news.
Exactly.
So here's the website, episcopalchicago.org. I encourage you to go to that. I was going to show you what it looks like. This is like a snip. If you look it up on the website, that's what it'll be, and it's got those headings there. You just click our diocese ministries, etc.
Why did they choose to put the picture of the church that looks like a barn?
Do you know?
Is that St. Paul and?
I have no idea which church that is.
Exclusive to those Oxford people.
Yeah,
That's right.
I think it's trying to,
Far
like,
from the
if they had a
integration.
picture of the skyline of Chicago again, that kind of leads into
So the
that.
barn makes us like, oh,
Like
I guess
Chicago gets,
country
I
people.
don't know, I don't see a barn and go, Northern Illinois.
I don't think it's the
Go right
best
to North
picture.
I mean, we have so many beautiful churches in different states.
You know what I say? It's like, well, then get involved.
Sign up.
Talk to Crystal Plummer at the Diocese of Chicago and say, you know, I don't like this. All right, here is Paula Clark. She's our bishop. Some of you have seen her here. She will be here on April 25th and April 26th because confirmation is April 25th. So we're hosting the regional confirmation. I think we're going to have at least 20 from St. Mark's being confirmed, and then we'll get dribs and drabs from others. But she'll be here for that service, and then on the 26th, she'll be here for her visit, or church visit, to visit St. Mark's. So she was consecrated in 2022 in the pandemic, and she is the first Black person and the first female to hold the position of bishop in our diocese. And so her commitments are justice and the social gospel, really. All right.
And she is that mighty struggle.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's just go back to, so after she was consecrated, shortly after, she had a medical event where it wasn't exactly an aneurysm, but similar. She was at the health club and some kind of blockage occurred that was then treated, but she was left significantly impaired by that took many, many months to recover, and she's continuing to recover. But if you see her, I mean, I think you'd think she's doing pretty well. I think part of the issue is her stamina, right? So like when she comes on the 26th, like she can't come to all three services. She'll be able to do one service. It would not be probably healthy for her to do two. It's just too much.
And in the midst of all that, her husband died.
Her husband died, that's right, around then. So she was kind of hit by plague after plague, but we surrounded her, and there was a lot of support for her.
And she had the event before she was consecrated. And she'd been elected.
Oh, she had been elected,
And,
that's right.
and she'd been elected, but when she was consecrated, because I was at the consecration, she had gone through all of that.
Yeah, thank you for my timeline's a little foggy, but
Many of us.
By the way,
Mhm.
is
there a tenure for bishops?
pardon me?
There a period of, do they have a tenure?
No. I mean, there's a mandatory retirement age. And other than that, though, they can continue. And so our previous bishop, Jeff Lee, served for maybe 10 years. And then he just felt he was called to finish and move on. So I think that's often kind of the way it goes.
And the presiding bishop, there's a tenure, is that right?
The presiding bishop, so Sean Rowe, has an 8-year term, and then he's finished. but the bishops of the diocese do not have a term. But they have a mandatory retirement age, which I think is like 76, something like that.
Used to be 72.
Yeah, maybe it is, yeah, you can look that up.
Neither one of us could be.
All right, so by the numbers, 114 congregations and 25,000 members. So how many is that per congregation? About, what, 200 on average per congregation? But it doesn't,
Not work that way.
that's, no, it's very skewed. So we have like 1,000 members, and then there are many places that have 25 members.
And members and attendees are not necessarily the same number.
No. And I like to, in fact, I don't really like the word member because it does sound like a country club. And I like to talk about our community, right? I prefer that word. And so I consider people who are part of our Parents Day Out program or our preschool. Now, some of them come to church here on Sunday, but some of them don't. I mean, they are part of our community, right? So if we look at that, we have, many, well over 1,000 people. And yeah, Joyce,
Can I just say something about confirmation? Because
please.
we have confirmation coming up. And a lot of times people think that confirmation is only for those young people who are like 8th grade, but adults get confirmed. Adults who decide they really want to be part of the Episcopal Church get confirmed. I was confirmed when I was 30-ish. And so I just wanted to mention that if any of you feel committed to the Episcopal Church and you'd like to be confirmed, that is an option regardless of age.
And there's also the opportunity to be received into the Episcopal Church. You would like to say, you know, I want to make it a public statement that I am part of this community. Then that's when the bishop is there, because the bishop is kind of the public, you know, because she represents the wider witness, you saying that with her makes that reception happen. So Jamie was received into the Episcopal Church last year, and you can talk about that another time if you want, but was it difficult?
Difficult? I don't know if it's difficult. It's very emotional.
Emotional. Yeah,
But
there were some tears.
There was something very healing in having a Black woman as bishop welcome a woman into the church. So,
And I also want to say that you don't have to be received in order to be part of this
That's
community.
like, the word member always felt weird. I felt like I had to like join some society or put my name somewhere and like commit to just being here. Like when I first started, I was like, when am I considered a member? Like, is it when I've been here a certain amount of time or I've fulfilled a certain quota? So it kind of felt weird.
Dude,
Here's the same question.
dude,
Am I a member
have
or
you
not?
received your bill yet?
I just spent all my money on a dog, so I got no money to give you.
Well, then bring the dog, you know?
Yeah.
In
the 1 o'clock church, we got an adults, they sign up for the confirmation class. And a family, the 2 brothers with wives and children, gonna be first communion and also confirmation.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so confirmation and reception are kind of the domain of the bishop. So if you're interested in those things, please talk to me, and or those who've been through it. So Jamie has been received. Joe Catone was received recently. He was born and raised in the Catholic Church, Roman Catholic. So he and there have been others. He's had more and more adults. It's been good. Yeah.
Can you correct me if I'm wrong? Is reception for people who have been confirmed in another church by a bishop, and confirmation is for
It's a little gray.
for what?
But the kind of the formal thing is if you have been confirmed in an apostolic church, which means Roman Catholic or Lutheran, you are received.
Okay.
If you have been confirmed in a non-apostolic church like Methodism or Congregational, you would be confirmed. Now, there's gray. We can get into that later, but and you can be confirmed a second time, it's called reaffirmation. So if you want to publicly kind of say, I'm recommitting myself to my faith and to this community, you can be reaffirmed. So there actually are three options. There's confirmation, reaffirmation, and reception. And it's all the domain of the bishop. All right, I'm gonna keep going. So these kind of sub goals were developed under the bishop, the episcopacy, which is, in other words, the bishop time of Jeff Lee. Grow the church, form the faithful, change the world. Again, we haven't really been growing the church numerically. We have been declining. Forming the faithful, that's a qualitative thing. I hope we are. And then changing the world, again, that's the social gospel kind of root. And hopefully we continue to do that, advocate for justice and peace. And these are the priorities of Bishop Clark, as she's kind of redefined them or focused them. I would say preventing violence, ensuring equity, addressing particular hunger and food insecurity, and caring for God's creation, which would have to do with things like the environment. I want to mention St. James Cathedral. So many dioceses, or most of them, have a cathedral, and that's considered kind of the church where the bishop is. That's officially their congregation, the cathedral, and the bishop would preach there and preside there for various important occasions. And St. James Cathedral is right off of Michigan Avenue. It's historic. It's kind of got this giant kind of balloonish, somebody with an architectural background to be able to describe it better, but it's a beautiful space, and it can hold maybe 500 people. So the dean of the cathedral, her name is Lisa James Hackney, and Lisa and I went to seminary together, and she was called to be the dean last year. She was installed as the dean. But anyway, if you're downtown or you have a chance, I would recommend going there, since it kind of is like, it has a sense of being our mother church for our day.
Can you explain the term dean of the cathedral?
Yeah, so unlike rector, it's the rector of the terminology. Dean means rector. And so again, we have these names, this nomenclature. So other people who work at the cathedral are often called canons. Canons, like canon for communication, canon for whatever, mission.
Like Suzanne who comes here?
Say that again?
Suzanne.
Who comes here?
No, so the reason she's a canon is she worked for the Diocese of San Diego. And so she became a canon there, and you just, once a canon, always a canon.
Okay.
So there's some kind of bad pun in that, but I'm not, I can't find it, but.
You're a loose cannon.
Yeah, loose cannon. She's a loose cannon.
Yeah, that's what she is.
Canon and the
Can.
rectors also, correct?
Pardon me?
A canon, if you're a canon, is it also the rector of the church also, right?
Like you could be a canon.
I don't want to be. So I reject that.
You wouldn't be a canon
Our church
as just the rector,
If I
right?
were working for the cathedral. I
was
would-
canon, and he was our rector.
A lot of roles.
So I just want to, these are some of the key ministry areas. Episcopal Charities is it has its own endowment and board and executive director, and they are basically like a catalyst for supporting partner agencies, but innovation and seeking out where there are needs. So for example, when St. Mark's was developing what's called Creo DuPage, which is making a college possible primarily for Hispanic youth and their families, Episcopal Charities helped with financial support. They provided a grant. Now, the Creo is now one of their partner agencies. They kind of moved into that. So this is an example of how the resources of the diocese, this network, helps to support. We can do more together than we can independently. So Creo DuPage would have a harder time getting going without that financial support. So Episcopal Charities has a couple events during the year. They have a fall soiree, they have a spring dinner. These are ways to gather information and resources, money for their work. We have an anti-racism commission. Miguel is served on the anti-racism commission. Is that correct?
I feel, yeah, and also in the co-chair too, you know, I'm on the board. But I was the co-chair and the Tourism Commission for a period of time, and still member.
We are call ourselves a sanctuary diocese, welcoming and supporting immigrants, refugees, asylum seekers, and this whole idea of lifelong formation resources for spiritual development, education, and clergy support. These are some of our key areas. Keep going here. Now, I have another PowerPoint about a strategic plan, but I thought I'd mention this quickly because we face some significant challenges in our diocese. So we did a survey that 900 people responded to. They weren't expecting maybe 500, but they received 900 responses. And so one of the results of this strategic planning process was to graph kind of this, how do people kind of respond to where our diocese is. So you've got these two different axes. The vertical one is energy, and the horizontal one is satisfaction. So where you really want to be is in the upper right.
Right.
And no one is there. And I think it's worth saying at the very bottom left, active clergy are low satisfaction and low energy. That is not good. And so I guess the good news is that the survey was done. And people had a chance to express how they're feeling and that they published it. Right? I mean, this could have been like, I don't like this survey. And we're not.
Right.
So it's interesting, the diocesan staff has energy, but their satisfaction is also struggling. And you can see that it kind of deteriorates from there. So we have significant challenges, and if we get to the other PowerPoint, I can talk about
What's
that.
the timing for this, George? When was that?
That was this year. I think the survey was done in April and May of 2025. Yeah.
Going at the lower quadrant, the reinvention recovery, that seems to have a bit of a positive, like, opportunities for,
Right.
coming back from the lowest point.
I mean, look, I think we are people of hope. So we don't want to call that quadrant like disaster and end times. Right?
I would not help your data points, though.
Yeah, I think that was a very optimistic naming of that quadrant.
Right. I mean, reinvention and recovery is basically the world always, right? So, I mean, but I think, there could have been another term for that, which would have been, important kind of wake up call. And I think that those words get put elsewhere, but that's a positive spin, right? I mean, we definitely need some reinvention.
Although seeing the diocesan staff in chaos is a little terrifying.
George, to whom was this distributed?
This was distributed to anybody who wanted it, right? So I could not find here we go.
It's been like the average.
There is a little packet, and I'm going to pass these around. I can make more.
It says the percentage of like 49% were members, and then it goes through like clergy, active clergy.
Well, it'd also be interesting because sometimes with like surveys, just people who have a certain perspective fill it out, whereas the ones that are satisfied are like, I don't really need to fill it out.
I think that's really true.
Can we keep it? So like when you read reviews on something, it's all the bad ones, but no one goes on and like.
So the thing about the survey is that, you definitely want to take the temperature. And so I think most clergy filled it out. So that's pretty telling, I mean, I was not glowing about our diocese. I mean, I feel like we have been weak in this and not with a clear path. So, I mean, I don't feel like I was being a Debbie Downer. I'm just trying to be truthful.
So are these questions specifically about the diocese? I mean, what are they responding? What are
So,
people
yeah,
responding to?
The survey is about our diocesan health and direction and resources and connectivity and all those things.
Communication
Yeah.
and,
It's
okay.
just kind of head to toe, what is our diocese?
I think it's a reason that it's good to use reinvention and recovery is taking the last 25 years of what's been going on in the diocese with either bread gods and people feeling burnt out, things like that. It would make sense to me. So some of the respondents, sure, could have some anger and frustration, but then also just be like, looking at kind of the last 25 or 30 years of folks who've seen what's been like, literally just how it feels within the diocese. Because of how many, either lawsuits have been or, either clergy or parishioners who've left for what's now ACNA, stuff like that. So that makes sense to me, but it's like an explosion feeling that could still have its ricochet on people. So both make sense about those two words.
I mean, I guess it's a good sign people are so willing to be honest,
Yes.
because a lot of churches have that energy of like, we just need to seem really positive on the outside, and then it'll be really positive in real life. But a lot of times it's like that toxic positivity. Like, we're trying to be really, really positive about things, but we're not going to be honest about the heart.
I mean, as they say, the truth is a terrible thing to waste. And so if people are putting out this type of feedback, then it has to be received and responded to. So we have our diocesan convention this coming weekend. John Miller here is going to be one of our delegates. And so at that convention, the bishop is going to be addressing the strategic plan. So stay tuned. This is an unfolding situation. Wait a second. Two people. Hannah, go first, and then.
Do they like record those for people to watch? They can't go in person.
I think it is, but I'm not sure. Yeah, John.
The other side of things is that it's easy to feel overwhelmed. I mean, there is so much that needs to be done, and really so little manpower to do it. It's just an issue. I know I work in I volunteer in the church office, and all I can say is that every day I know less about what's really happening in my and I'm a lifeline of this. It is really hard to keep up with everything.
Well, maybe we should do an upfront on the future of the church. Let's do that. I think that would be interesting. So these are some other things that our community in action. So even though like we're in a period of reinvention or truth telling, there's still lots of things happening. I mean, there's worship happening all over our diocese today. I mean, you're seeing it here. There's community outreach taking place all of the time, and we have our dioceses gathering, including at the convention in various ways. All right, so that kind of comes to the end of this thing. I do have a quick PowerPoint. I've got about 5 minutes, so let me just go to this other one. Second, any questions while I'm doing this? Looking up this
other dioceses done similar surveys in the Episcopal Church?
Say that again.
Have other dioceses done similar surveys on kind of where they're at?
You know, I think that there are these. I mean, I think they do strategic planning, but I haven't seen one recently. Yeah. Let me share the screen. Okay, we're using this consulting firm called Saison. Saison. Probably it sounds like a Z. And this is kind of a summary of their July report. So they've been in the discovery phase, the process to listen deeply, and they use spiritual terms where the Spirit is leading, realigning the diocesan the life together. So there are 900 plus survey responses. There were 30 individual interviews and 10 focus groups. I was part of a focus group. Overall finding, the diocese is in a reinvention recovery quadrant characterized by low energy, low satisfaction, erosion of morale, and a lack of clear shared vision. Okay, so those are not really mincing words. This is a time for urgency. The data shows the diocese is in a precarious position. Decisive action is needed in the next year, vital for our future health and vitality. Status quo is not an option. The consensus is that staying the course will not work. People are running out of patience, but still hold hope for real meaningful change. The top challenges voice financial difficulties, concerns about our dwindling resources, declining membership in our congregations, and clergy burnout. I didn't mean to be a downer here, but I mean, this is a
Great way to end it.
A lot of overlap between people.
right.
The church right now. Everything you're saying, I'm like, yeah, I see that mostly.
So a feeling that the diocese is they and not a we, being voiced. There's a loss of hope. And then leadership concerns, worries about the bishop's visibility and capacity to lead change. And I think she's stepping up to answer that. She is not feeling defeated. People want a support system, more resources for development, and just help, collaboration, and connection. Immediate actions are hold in-person gatherings, prioritize relationship and communications, and tell real stories, and not just the good news ones. Talk about the challenges. And again, these are just additional kind of another way of putting this, the fabric of the relationships, tightening that, really facing our financial challenges head on with transparency. I feel like there hasn't been good transparency, and it hasn't been deliberate. It's just, I think that needs to be focused more. And then our own congregational development and vitality. Recommended ways, center on people, shore up basic services, and practice transparency. Sorry to go through that so quickly, but I thought it would be good to just hit on that. Okay. Questions, comments?
Should we all leave?
No, okay. So I think the way we turn this is, look, I mean, I think St. Mark's is a place that has great things happening. And you know what? We have a story to tell, and we're not the only one. And I feel like, so there is great hope. The Episcopal Church has a case. We have a role. We have an important place in this region. We're needed. I mean, we can't just lie down and cry. We need to really.
For 5 minutes.
Pardon me?
And then get up
Maybe
and
give
get
us
going.
like 5 minutes to feel
To
bad.
cry.
And
No,
then
we
cry,
need
and
to,
then
you
go
know,
on.
like, not to deny that, but I feel like here at St. Mark's, you know, we have been practicing recovery, reinvention for a long time, and we know how to do it.
If I could give an example for feeling frustrated by the lack of diocesan support. I've been in charge of confirmation, and we had a misspelling on a certificate, and I have written the person in charge at least 5 or 6 times to ask for a reprint, and she doesn't respond. I copied her boss, you know, and so when you don't get responses, you don't feel supported. And I think that that's an issue.
Yeah, no, and I don't want to provide an excuse other than, it can be that it's just overwhelming, the stuff. And
Yeah.
so like, to fix a confirmation certificate probably falls down.
Way down.
I mean, but
But
it
it's
should not be
but it's
done.
important to that
you know?
person.
I mean, so, and especially since like I said, confirmation, reception, reaffirmation is in the bishop's domain. I mean, that should be done. But there is hope, and you know what? Hope comes from God, and so there's infinite hope, and we just have to see it and really kind of, be clear on our convictions. I think, oh my goodness, I mean, what we have to share is so needed right now, and there are many Christians who are really falling down. I mean, in my book, I mean, what's happening in our country right now is immoral, and there's a lot of silence. I mean, there is some, but it should be a loud cry of this is wrong. I mean, there are people who have done things that are criminal actions, and we all understand that, but being torn apart from their families, it's cruel, and it's vicious, and it's terrible. And where are the Christians?
Well, I did read something that I found really hopeful that happened this week, which was at Broadview. There was a large gathering of clergy from all different denominations, spoke very clearly about what was going on there, and although they were then
beat up.
but then they were beat up and arrested, but yeah, like the account I read, which was beautifully written, says that right after all these speeches, he witnessed a state police officer with a billy club just come at a woman minister who was not speaking and just rammed her in the stomach with a billy club. And but I don't think these things get reported on the news either.
Well, it depends what news you watch. And that has a big factor.
Yeah.
So, but there are lots of people who are seeing this who aren't doing anything.
Well, people who were going to demonstrate peacefully have been under attack for a generation. They're not because of political